Still unfinished, the secret hidden inside Mount Rushmore. The wind hit the granite before sunrise. High above the Black Hills, men hung from steel cables with drills in their hands and dust in their mouths. Their boots scraped against stone. Their bodies swung gently over empty air. Below them, the forest looked small. Above them, the unfinished faces of presidents stared out from the mountain like giants waking from rock. A worker pressed his drill into the stone. The machine screamed. Granite dust exploded into the cold morning air. This was not a quiet monument. It was noise, danger, ambition, sweat, dynamite, rope, and fear. Every day, men climbed hundreds of steps just to reach the worksite. Every day, they trusted cables, harnesses, and each other. Every day, pieces of the mountain were blasted away so that a nation could carve its memory into stone. But behind the famous faces, there was another plan. A hidden room. A secret chamber inside the mountain. A place meant to preserve the story of America for people thousands of years in the future. And then the work stopped. The mountain remained. The faces became famous. But the chamber behind them was never finished the way its creator imagined. So what was Mount Rushmore really supposed to become? Most people know the monument from a distance. For faces, a postcard view, a symbol of presidents, power, and national memory. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln. Their faces were carved into granite as if they had always belonged to the mountain. But the real story of Mount Rushmore is not only about what was completed, it is also about what was abandoned. The man behind the vision was Gutzon Borglum, a sculptor with enormous ambition and an almost impossible sense of scale. He did not want Mount Rushmore to be just a sculpture. He wanted it to be a message, a warning against being forgotten. A monument so large that future civilizations would look at it and ask who built it, why they built it, and what kind of people believed their history deserved to be carved into a mountain. To Borglum, the faces were not enough. He feared that one day, thousands of years later, people might see the presidents and not understand their meaning. Their names could fade. Their nation could change. Their language could disappear. Stone could survive longer than memory. So he imagined something deeper. Behind the carved heads, inside a canyon in the mountain, Borglum planned a hall of records. Not a small room. Not a simple storage space. A grand chamber cut into the granite itself, designed to hold the documents, stories, and ideas that he believed defined the United States. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, records of national expansion, the names and meanings behind the monument. A place where the mountain would not only show faces, but explain them. It was meant to be the memory of the memory, a monument inside the monument. And that is what makes the unfinished chamber so haunting. Because Mount Rushmore was already a project of impossible ambition. Men were not carving soft stone. They were cutting into granite. Dynamite removed the largest sections. Drills opened holes. Workers used a method called honeycombing, drilling close together until the stone could be broken away by hand. The faces emerged slowly, inch by inch, from a mountain that had never asked to become a symbol. The work was dangerous, but strangely disciplined. Men hung in chairs over cliffs. Foremen shouted instructions. Dust covered skin, hair, tools, and clothing. The air smelled of stone, oil, rope, and explosive powder. When charges detonated, the mountain shook. Pieces of granite fell into the valley below. And still, the workers returned. They were not presidents. They were not the names people would remember. They were miners, drillers, carvers, laborers, men who understood stone through muscle and vibration. They created faces larger than houses while standing in positions no ordinary person would choose for even a minute. The monument was built by people whose own faces would never be carved beside it. That is the first hidden truth of Mount Rushmore. A symbol of remembered men was made by forgotten ones. But even as the presidential faces took shape, Borglum's mind moved deeper into the mountain. The Hall of Records was supposed to be reached by a long granite stairway rising toward the canyon behind Lincoln's Head. Visitors of the future would climb toward a hidden entrance and step into a chamber of national memory. Imagine that vision. A dark opening in the granite. A staircase cut into the rock. A room deep inside the mountain, holding the words a civilization wanted to send beyond its own lifetime. It sounds almost mythic, but it was real enough to begin. Workers started cutting into the mountain behind the faces. They carved a tunnel into the granite, beginning what was meant to become something far larger. But the faces demanded time. The project demanded money. The country was changing. The world was moving toward war. And in 1941, Gutzon Borglum died before his full vision could be completed. After his death, his son Lincoln Borglum continued the work for a short time. But the great dream had already begun to shrink. The original plan to carve the presidents down to the waist was abandoned. The Grand Hall of Records was left unfinished. The long stairway was never built. The chamber was not opened as Borglum imagined. On October 31, 1941, Mount Rushmore was declared complete. But complete is a strange word for a monument that still carried unfinished dreams inside it. The public saw the faces and accepted the image. Mount Rushmore became one of the most recognizable monuments on Earth. Tourists arrived. Photographs spread. The mountain entered movies, textbooks, political speeches, road trips, and the visual language of America. But behind the image, the unfinished chamber remained. Silent. Cut into the mountain, but not transformed into the vast hall Borglum had imagined. Decades later, the story did not entirely disappear. In 1998, a repository was placed inside the chamber's entrance, containing panels with historical information about Mount Rushmore and the documents Borglum wanted to preserve. It was not the grand chamber he dreamed of, but it was a form of completion. A time capsule. A message placed inside the stone for the future. Still, the deeper emotion remains unresolved. Because Mount Rushmore is not only unfinished in stone, it is unfinished in meaning. To some, it is a triumph of vision, engineering, and national symbolism. To others, it is also a monument carved into the Black Hills, land sacred to the Lakota and long tied to a painful history of broken promises, conquest, and dispossession. The mountain does not hold only one story. It holds many, and not all of them fit neatly into a patriotic image. That is why the hidden chamber matters. It reminds us that every monument is also an argument. An argument about what should be remembered. An argument about whose faces deserve to be seen. An argument about whose voices are placed inside the mountain and whose are left outside it. When you look at Mount Rushmore from far away, the faces seem calm, permanent, certain. But the closer you get, the more complicated the stone becomes. You see drill marks, unfinished surfaces, rough edges, the gap between vision and reality. You see a monument that wanted to speak to eternity, but never fully finished its sentence. And maybe that is why Mount Rushmore still fascinates us. Not because it is perfect, but because it is incomplete. A hidden chamber, an unfinished plan, a mountain full of ambition, silence, memory, and contradiction. The workers left. The drills stopped. The dust settled. The faces remained. But behind them, inside the granite, the question is still waiting. What do civilizations choose to preserve when they know they will not last forever? And what do they leave unfinished for the future to discover? If this journey inside Mount Rushmore made you see the past differently, leave your like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Life Inside Ancient Worlds. Here, we step beyond myths and monuments to discover the hidden stories, unfinished dreams, and forgotten lives that shaped the world we inherited.